Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
The following posts describe what someone claims to have seen when surfing the deep web over 6 years ago. Like other stories, take everything you hear tonight with a grain of salt. Creepy deep web stories. I have a few. If y'all like this one, I'll post more. Be 2 years ago. Dicking around with a Polish friend. Head on to Hidden Wiki, Anon Chan, etc. On Anon Chan, some dude posts a link in some Cyrillic script with lots of exclamation points. Luckily enough, my buddy reads Russian. Translates it. It's up again, hurry! Screw it, why not? Click the link. Here's what we saw. 3 dudes in military uniforms, shown only from the neck down, speaking excitedly and super high-pitched / nervously in Russian. Friend reads Russian better than he speaks it, but he catches a few phrases. Basically, these guys are scared and excited. They're getting another one, etc. Eventually, it becomes clear that they're out on the ice in some random-ass lake in Siberia, ice fishing. After a few minutes of nervous chatter, assault rifles start going off. Camera swings around wildly, eventually focusing on a poorly lit hole in the ice. Gurgling and splashing noises coming from it. These dudes and others are just straight pumping bursts down the hole. Eventually, after another few minutes, these dudes use long hooked poles to dig around and then heave something up. I shit you not. 20+ foot long fish-like snake-looking thing, at least 3.5 feet in diameter. I'd say it was an anaconda, but it was brown and it had really nasty flabby fins that they grabbed and stretched out, full of sea lice and holes and shit. Big black eyes, mouth full of the gnarliest teeth I've ever seen. Huge air sacs on its underside. Looked like a lungfish or some shit. Video cuts to a series of photos of the thing. Better lit than the video, presumably because they're shot with flash. Mottled brown skin with plenty of blood smeared all over it, from the bullets scraping the sides of the hole they pulled it out of. One of the pictures showed what I'm guessing was the contents of its stomach, and there was all sorts of crazy shit in there. Don't go swimming in Russia. Another one since I'm bored. Few years ago, don't remember exactly when. Some board or other goes crazy about a banging video. I thought it was porn. I was wrong. It's a bunch of scary huge dudes playing Freddie Gibbs. Hard to hear over the music, but apparently they're folk nation and gangster disciples rolling on vice lords. Dude straps on a camera to his chest while holding it up to a mirror. Other guys start strapping up. Shotguns, AKs, the whole shebang. What follows next is, I shit you not, some of the most disturbing shit I've ever seen. These guys, like 7 of them, pack into an old white SUV, and they sit in dead silence. All you see is darkness and some cursing about the cold. They step out, hustle over some icy streets and under streetlights, then up the stairs to a shitty apartment complex. Knock on a door, step in and just straight up massacre everyone at this other party. Men, women, teenagers, doesn't matter, they all get wasted. Some of the vice lords get a few shots off, but I don't think any of our cameraman's friends got hit. Then the video proceeds to just pan over the bodies one by one, while voices yell, "Fuck you, fuck all y'all," and so on. They take a ton of guns, coke, weed, and pills out of this apartment, and then the camera cuts out. Not once did I hear a single siren. Scary to know that shit goes down in this country. The next one, the burglar story, is a typed account, some pictures of a police report, and a very small, somewhat blurry video on the bottom of the page. Think I found this one on Anon Chan, but I don't remember. The video is split into 4 windows. In the upper left, dude is folding his clothes. Bottom left, a window breaks suddenly, and you can see a baseball bat knock the rest of the shards out of the frame. Dude in upper left moves over to his computer and clicks away, presumably looking for his surveillance cam, the same feed I'm watching. Burglar hops in through the window and moves purposely through the room. Next appears an upper right window, which looks down a stairwell. Burglar looks up the stairwell, then proceeds out of the frame. Meanwhile, guy in upper left goes to his closet, super casually, making a phone call all the while. Burglar appears in the lower right cam, the kitchen, and for the first time, I notice that he has a gun, Speaking of which, dude in upper left casually pulls out a 12 gauge from the closet, gun locker presumably, and calmly sits on his bed and loads it up. At this point, I'm straight up dying from suspense. Burglar walks back out of the kitchen to the top right window, walks up the stairs. Nothing. Nothing. Then it's over in like a second. Burglar kicks in the door to the bedroom. Dude on bed freezes, hesitates. Burglar sees the gun and fires wildly. The dude on bed reacts and shoots him right in the head. It was black and white, obviously, but you can see the blood sprayed all over the bedroom wall. Guy on the bed jumps up and runs over to the burglar, kicks his body to see if he's alive, and then runs out of his room. Appears in the upper right-hand corner, blocking much of the frame. Pauses, falls down the stairs, dies slowly in a pool of his own blood, at the foot of the stairs, stretching around and holding his gut. The police report basically summarizes the events on the video. Final batch, from the same deep web guy. All right, here you go. I actually got the next link straight from the hidden wiki relatively recently, about 18 months ago. Might still be up there. Basically, it's a big page full of pictures and tiny text captions underneath the pictures, like some bullshit website you made in middle school computer class around the turn of the century. Bright green background, yellow 6-point or so font beneath every picture. Hey, Greentext doesn't really work for this one. Basically, the website announces itself as a collection of photos of weird things that happened on some Indian res in places like Alberta or Manitoba. Weird, eerie landscapes, empty prairie in wintertime, few ramshackle buildings and trailers, and a whole lot of nothing else. Well, some oil refinery or other apparently shut down and things are tough on the reservation, where most of the men used to catch some bus or other and work for the oil company. Times are lean, basically, and people are drinking and getting ornery and stir-crazy. Lots of pictures of this one kid's house, I think his name was John, and how it's getting more and more trashed as his dad gets drunk and just leaves garbage and broken shit all over. Crime starts going up. There's 2 assaults, lots of drunken fistfights, pictures of police tape and flashing lights in the night, outside a window, pictures of broken cheap liquor bottles at various intersections, just gravel roads, graffiti, and then the pictures of mysterious bloodstains in the snow. Our narrator John tells us that the cops don't know what to do with the stains. No reported crimes, no nothing. The winter stretches on, and weirder shit starts to happen. A few men are found frozen in the middle of the snow, miles from the reservation. John notes that at least one of them never drank anymore, so it makes no sense that he would walk out in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night to die. And he was miles away too. So there's no way this dude was sleepwalking. The cops claim that all the bodies test positive for alcohol, but we've established that that doesn't make sense. John is close with the family of the sober dude who died, and he goes to talk to them, but they act like they don't know him. He posts a picture of their dog, big, nasty-looking Malamute, snarling at him like it had never seen him before. The next picture is a picture of the dog as a puppy, sitting in John's lap. Shit is all messed up, basically. Then there's the women. 2 women show up knocking on doors asking to be let into people's trailers. One comes into John's trailer and refuses to be photographed. According to him, though, she doesn't say practically anything and refuses to eat anything but super rare meat. Only stays for a night. John takes a pic of one of the women from his window on a later night. Her eyes glow dully in the reflected flash of the camera. She is smiling. Finally, a man is found frozen in the center of camp, his face gaunt, his eyes sunken, blood caked around engorged lips. The cops never identify him. John posts a picture of the ambulance that takes him away. Then comes a long text paragraph without pictures. It weaves in and out of English and some native language, Ojibwe, Algonquin, I don't know. Lots of talk about the old starving times and Wendigos. The last 3 pictures are blurry and uncaptioned. It's tough to make out, but you can see long, very thin, very pale limbs just outside John's window. They must have belonged to something much taller than a human. The last picture is just a picture of 2 duly reflected eyes, 12 feet or so off the ground compared to earlier pictures. Gave me chills. Okay, last one. It's a tough one to narrate, in part because it had no audio. This was another video I saw on the webpage full of links written in some sort of alphanumeric code. I said this somewhere else, but that website had some really bland, generic name, like the Hidden Video Library or some shit like that. Presumably it's still out there. Definitely worth your time if you're interested. Anyway, in the order the shit appears in the video, with a new green text entry occurring only after the camera cuts out and begins a new scene. That is, unless the tape was edited, whenever the cameraman stops filming and starts again. Two college-aged, or a little older guys chatting with one another in a car. The one in the passenger seat filming himself with the camera in his lap, and panning over to the driver every so often. Lots of laughing. A shot of the landscape briefly. It's in the desert. Some scrub vegetation, but very little. Pretty rock formations. No idea where it is. Shot of a campsite in the evening with the driver roasting some hot dogs or whatever over a little fire. Tidy little site, 2 large tents and 1 smaller one. For gear? Driver flips off cameraman. Morning. The little tent is trashed. I'd say a bear did it, but I don't think any bear species I know live in the desert. Their shit is wrecked. Passenger talking into his own camera seems exasperated. Runs hand through his hair, then seems to be getting agitated. No audio, obviously, so I have no idea what he's saying. I remember trying to read his lips, but then second-guessing every word I read. Video of the driver hunched over another fire, talking over his shoulder at the cameraman, who's seated behind him. Camera is shaking. I think the cameraman is laughing. Lots of brief shots of pretty scenery. Looks like they're hiking through the desert. Almost certainly shot over 2 or 3 days. Now I say, almost certainly shot over 2 or 3 days, because the lighting is pretty dramatically different between shots. It's possible someone went back after the fact and re-edited that section of the video, but I don't know why they would do that, honestly. It was very found footage-y. It's possible it was a film school project, but I doubt they would have wasted so much time on unnecessary extra shit. To cut down on length, and honestly because I can't remember all of it, I'll stick to describing only the important scenes from here on, and limit my summaries of the less important scenes to a few words. Shot of a sunset, another fire, beans cooking in a pot, lots of laughter, and an open bottle of Jack. It's twilight now, but the camera is zooming in rapidly on a hill in the distance, away from the sun. I don't see anything there, but the cameraman is panning pretty quickly, looking for something. Maybe some movement by a few stubby trees. Maybe not. Zooms out and pans over to driver, who looks extremely concerned and reaches towards the camera, which cuts out immediately nighttime inside the tent. Guys are sharing the same tent now. Camera stays on, jerking around. Presumably there's some scary-ass sounds going on, because I can't see shit. At one point it looks like the side of the tent flaps inward suddenly, like it would if someone or something had punched/kicked it. Cameraman scrambles away from it, and the camera goes out. Next morning, early. Camera zooming in on a shitload of footprints outside and around the tent. Driver is packing and gestures impatiently at the cameraman. A few more super zoomed in shots of the hills, taken hurriedly, as if while walking quickly. The cameraman turns the camera towards his own face and speaks earnestly to it. The fear in his eyes was very real. Dusk, zooming in on the hills again. This time I definitely see 2 humanoid shapes vanishing over the top of a hill. Night. Bright moon in the sky. Cameras bouncing around. We're walking fast again. Stop, sudden spin, and zoom in on a hill. 2 silhouetted figures, very skinny, just standing there, not bothering to hide anymore. Camera cuts out. Now here comes a long amount of blackness. Originally, I thought the video cut out there. But after seeing the rest of it, I think there was a shot/multiple shots taken at night, without the camera's night vision function turned on. Second to last cut. Early dawn. 2 meth heads, a man and a woman, laying still on the sand. Thin as skeletons, wearing weird-ass thrift store clothing. Tons of sores all over their face and arms. Dude's mouth is closed. Woman has the worst meth mouth I've ever seen. They look straight up terrifying. Unwashed hair, janky-ass tattoos, the whole bit. Cameraman, pale as a ghost, looks at the camera and pans down to his naked torso. There's a long, jagged, bleeding cut running along much of his ribs. He holds up an old knife, presumably the meth head's. The driver is stamping around, bugging out. He's got a split lip and a huge eye, final cut. driver and cameraman, sitting in a room somewhere back in civilization. Driver's face is still freshly messed up. They talk a lot to the camera, still no audio, and the video ends. That's about all I got. I could share some more weird shit from that hidden video library, but it's more unsettling than exciting or anything like that. Hope you all enjoyed.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check out the Odyssey page in the description for a second archive of the channel's videos.